what's next for you? And yeah, what are the big things on your horizon? I mean, you consult companies right now, some big ones like Fortune 10 companies. I guess you probably can't tell me what you do for them, but maybe you can. And then personally, what are your plans for the next 5 years?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually do quite a lot of executive coaching. Believe it or not, I came in under the guise of offering services that gave them critical business intelligence. Instead, what ended up happening is executive coaching happened, business development happened, helping folks with their HR departments, their sales teams. That's much more of what I do now than I ever thought I would ever do, to be very frank. It's been an interesting evolution in my business because I never would have thought that would have been something that my skills would apply to until I started seeing how my skills applied. So a big chunk of that is what the future holds. We're actually moving more into the realm of supporting high net worth and supporting senior executive individuals and teams in achieving business and entrepreneurial goals because the skills that we have apply very well in that space.
They're not necessarily big companies, but just like high net worth people or entrepreneurs, but not necessarily like Fortune 10 companies.
Sometimes,
yeah, 100,000 employees or 50,000 employees, but also sometimes smaller groups.
Correct. So when you're talking about ultra high net worth people, oftentimes they created something and then they sold it off. They had a big exit, and now they're independently wealthy, trying to build something new. So that's one of those instances where they don't have a big company. But then what also happens is when you network with those individuals, they also have a foot back in their own home company, or they have peers in their network who run other companies. So that's where a lot of that consulting and coaching happens, is in those two arenas. And then we have mainstream projects that we're working on also. We just recently signed a TV deal that for a new TV show that's going to go live in the U.S. In summer of 2023. I'm in an NDA, so I can't talk about who or what or any of those things, but it's going to be a ton of fun.
Maybe if I get into your secret life, you'll tell me. All right,
yeah,
we're not there yet. All right.
And then we're also working on a book. So my wife and I have created a book, a memoir, and we're in the book proposal. And we have our team of agents and writers and everything else that are helping us, and we're hoping to have that closed before the end of the year, which would, if I understand the publishing world, it might be another 18 months before it goes live. But those are two big mainstream projects that we're working on, and then we're just constantly growing our own podcast and our own business and doing what we can to spread the news and spread the skills. And
so you are a PhD in emotional intelligence. Is that what you would say?
I
hate that phrase.
I would never call myself a PhD. I actually do like the phrase emotional intelligence.
Okay.
I hesitate to ever call myself a master of something because there's always people better than me.
But that's what you brought out of the CIA.
Correct.
Was that emotional intelligence training, and now you're applying it in the civilian world in business. So you go into someone's business and you'll say, have you thought of this from an emotional intelligence perspective?
Sort of. We'll go in there and we'll say, hey, we're going to increase your sales conversion rates by 11%, and we'll do it in 90 days. And here's how we're going to do it. Because we're going to do this with your sales staff, we're going to do this with your customer base, we're going to do this with your advertising, we're going to do this with your marketing. It's ones and zeros. It's systematic. All it takes to get people to take action is to talk to them the way they want to be spoken to, address the needs they believe are the most important needs to them, show them a person who seemingly cares for them, and then the next step is they do what you tell them to do. Whether that's giving you a credit card or signing up for your services or pulling back a court order or settling out of court. It's all very predictable and very systematic, but you have to get people past their inclination to fight.
Right.
That's people's core inclination is it's a battle of dominance, it's a battle of will. If you want to really win the battle, you got to look past the will and past the dominance, because that's what the other person's focused on. You want to be like, if you think of a rock in a road, if you're focused on staying on the road, you're never going to get past the boulder. The advantage is that there's all this space that's not on the road. If you can just work around the rock, you win. That's the hardest part of the
And high net worth people, by definition, aren't used to not fighting sometimes.
They're not used to not fighting, but they also absolutely understand the value of cheating or shortcutting or working around. You don't get to be ultra high net worth without knowing how to do that.
You don't get there without having a little bit of both, right?
Yep.
And they might sometimes have been stuck in a fighting loop in this area, but they have been in the other place before.
Correct.
Right? So they have been in a compromise, or they have obviously recruited a lot of people to do what they want to do in order to get in that position, because otherwise they wouldn't be there.
Right.
That's fascinating. Well, thank you, Andrew. Really enjoyed this conversation.
My pleasure.
We could probably talk for 6 more hours. I will take you up next time you're in London. Let's do some tradecraft.
That's
It'll be
awesome.
Fun.
Let's do it.
I don't know if we can film it, but we can do it before and after or something like that. Yeah, if people want to get a hold of you, websites, podcast names, all that stuff. Twitter is best for you.
Twitter is best for me if you really don't like me and you want to see what other people who really don't like me have to say.
Is that what happened?
Hate follows. I love hate follows on Twitter.
You got a lot of haters.
I got a lot of haters.
Why do people hate you?
I think people hate me for a few reasons. First, they think that if I'm wrong, it means that I'm a fake. When your intelligence is hard, wrong is what you are most of the time. Wrong is being able to say, I was wrong, is one of the things that make a really professional intelligence officer. We don't try to say, oh, we were right. That's fake stuff. Phonies say they're always right. Anybody who's successful knows mistakes and errors are part of the game. You make them often because the more attempts, the more times you swing,
right,
the more chances you have to hit something out of the park. But that means there's a lot of strikes along the way. So a lot of people hate me because they think that because I say something wrong, I make a wrong prediction or I make a wrong assessment or I make a wrong analytical point, that I'm not legitimately CIA. So then they love to hate me. But then there's also plenty of people who just don't like to hear the truth. They don't like to hear that that the United States is making good out of this war in Europe. They don't like to hear me talk about the fact that that Europe wants to separate itself from the United States, or that China's befriending Pyongyang and Iran and moving forward with a new kind of axis. They don't like hearing that, so they don't want to hear that. So they think that by yelling at me, I'm going to stop talking. But
right,
to get to your point, if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's @EverydaySpy. Okay. Feel free to blow me up there. All of my social media handles are @EverydaySpy. My homepage, my website, is the best place to get a hold of me. That's everydayspy.com. And then if you are a podcast person, if you are into audio podcasts specifically, I have an iTunes top 10 podcast called the Everyday Espionage Podcast.
I'm looking for partners, collaborators, colleagues who want to join forces with me around the globe and create real value, generational wealth, and financial freedom for everyone else around the world. Get involved in the cryptocurrency markets, get involved in the NFT markets. This is your moment. Life all comes down to a few moments. Don't let this pass. Now it's not too late. Next year's going to be too late. Ultimately, this is about freedom. That's the way I see it. This is about giving power back to the people and enabling billions of people worldwide to use the financial markets to improve their lives and those of their friends and their families and their communities. Honestly, I think it's a violation of human rights not to allow people basic access to financial services. Because right now people are being kept in the dark, they're being robbed of education, and it's a travesty. And so I'm looking for people that want to join me and be a part of this solution. And that all happens inside the DeFi Academy. The gains my students are making are absolutely amazing. Double, triple digit gains in the first month alone. That's amazing. This will change your life. Now is the time to get involved. I'm going to tell you exactly how my students in my academy made money in the last 30 days. I'm talking about real trading results. And let me just whet your appetite a little bit. Let me hit you with some numbers. I'm talking Brendan from New Zealand is up 68.77% on the month. Steve from Europe up 83%. Albert in Singapore up 169.9% on one single trade. I got Susan up 153% on her call options alone, also rocking 139% returns and 442% returns as well on individual trades. These are people that are changing their financial future in the last 30 days, but it's based on trading discipline.
I've graduated over 500 students from inside my academy from over 54 countries around the world. It's amazing. When it comes to crypto, DeFi, and blockchain, we love this space. We truly believe it's the future. This is down to our core. It's authentic to what we're doing, and everybody can tell through the camera because you can't make this stuff up. If you're watching me now, wherever you are, I implore you, take 60 seconds right now and join my academy. Apply today. Now you've got a chance. Life all comes down to a few moments. What are you going to do? What's the choice that you're going to make?